from the Hackett Group recently tells us that companies that excel at retaining and managing talent actually outperform by 15% their peers. So it's a value creator to be able to do this. What can you tell us in terms of developing and in terms of succession planning? What are some of the keys?
One of the things we did that turned out to be serendipitous, but probably more profound than we realized, is we characterized ourselves early on as a learning organization. You'll hear that buzzword a lot now, but 10 years ago it was not in vogue. And the reason was we had to be, because we came out of Boston, a successful law firm, immediately ran into the incontrovertible fact that the markets in this region are very static, and we wanted to grow. At the time we had about 150 to 200 lawyers. We now have over 1,000. Well, where is that growth coming from? It's coming from places that we didn't know anything about. Places like London, Tokyo, Beijing, Frankfurt. And those markets were new. So we said our own skill development was lacking because we didn't have people that understood that part of their job was going to be learning new things. This was a decade ago. So in terms of leadership planning and succession and development, it became paramount that everybody in the organization had to be a learner. And that was a primary skill set. So we said a decade ago that the primary skill set was to what Lisa said about attitude, positive attitude, was people that could embrace change, because the law firm we had today was not going to be like the law firm we had tomorrow. We didn't even know what the law firm of tomorrow was going to look like. So that transition from, it's almost meta skill development, which is, do you know substantively how to do something? Balance the books, do an employment assessment, was less important than can you learn how to do it in a different environment? And we looked for people like that. So that became a primary consideration on my C staff, and essentially over that 10-year period I eventually replaced most of the people I had to find people that actually had that belief, that skill set, that they could grow and learn. And becoming a learning organization, a lot of research on that as well. Good book on that by Daniel Pink called Drive, which talks about learning being inherently motivating. You don't necessarily have to worry about incentives in the conventional sense if you develop a culture of learning. So that's what I would offer you is when you think about growth, think about development, make sure that your development of leaders matches your own vision of where your organization is going to go.
Culture's essential, and it's essential to have a cohesive culture in the organization. And you heard me talk about values before. Well, a key component of culture, if you look at what the definition of culture, it's people with shared values, philosophy, customers, customs, traditions, policies, and procedures that build an organization. So if you look at all of those things, values is a critical part of this. And when you're creating this culture, it really sets a tone. You start with your mission, go to your vision, the next thing is values. And then you take those three and you work together to build a culture. And a culture is not something that develops overnight, but it's something that you as a CEO have direct control over. You are the captain, you know, not the one in Italy. You are the captain. Sorry, I couldn't resist. You're the captain of your ship. And you lead your ship and you give it direction. I would always, in the beginning, middle, or end of a presentation, I would tell them about sales, revenue, etc. But I would always start with the important things because it sets a tone and it sets a commitment. And you get people to buy into the culture. And when you do, anything's possible.